Hello everyone, welcome once again to my channel. It's your boy Luis Portelles, and for today's video we have a very special one because this is gonna be type of a pageant news type of video, pageant drama, because I have a little bit of both for you guys. So officially it's been quite some time since I made a video about pageantry, which honestly it's so unlike me because I feel like for the past few months most of my content was pageant related. However, I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but after pageants, I sometimes feel like so exhausted, like physically, mentally, especially it's not just like the entire emotional roller coaster of the pageant, but also creating all of the videos and the topics and, like editing and creating content for like Instagram and other platforms, it can get quite overwhelming. However, I've been wanting to come back to the channel and talk about pageantry for the past few days. Actually, I do have a few ideas for videos that I wanted to make, or at least points that I wanted to talk about, but I just didn't find like the right timing or the right mindset for me to sit down and talk about those things. So instead of making separate videos for each one of those topics, I just decided to come here today and make this type of like chica moment type of video, like some chismes. So I hope that you guys are ready because I have a few topics that we will be talking about during today's video. So as usual, you guys, I hope that you find some sort of value in this video. If you do, don't forget to hit the like button so that it gets recommended to more people. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one almost every single day. And last but not least, be part of the conversation in the comment section down below. So let me know, what do you think about all of this drama and the news and the little surprise that I have for you guys at the end of the video. So I won't keep you waiting much longer. I will see you with all of the chismes right after the intro. Get strong. Okay, so let's get officially into the first topic of the day, and that will be the hot interview that Nawat provided with MJ Lastimosa for her Kumu show. First of all, I don't know if you guys share my sentiment. I was quite surprised to see Nawat like doing this type of interviews, especially with Pinay queens, given the fact that he doesn't have like the biggest reputation for being a supporter of the Philippines. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like his comments come across as being like a little harsh or like a little blindsided. Like he doesn't really realize sometimes the weight of the things that he says and the things that he posts. However, let's put that aside. He had this conversation with MJ Lastimosa, and of course they talked about MGI, and more precisely the future of MGI within the Binibining Pilipinas organization.
I asked for Binibining Pilipinas already. I need independent like Miss Grand Philippines. Okay, if they can arrange, it's still with them. Okay, because I know Madame Stella, I know her husband, I know organization long time ago. But if they're not comfortable to make it, I have to turn this opportunity to other.
For quite some time, there has been this rumor going around that Binibining Pilipinas is going to drop MGI, or that MGI is going to separate itself from Binibining Pilipinas because they want to be an independent organization similar to what Miss Universe Philippines did. So they used to be under the umbrella of Binibining Pilipinas, and eventually they just separated to become, their own organization and have their own pageants. I personally wasn't surprised to hear this because I feel like Nawat is all about show and all about production, and he recently went to the Philippines, and a lot of people were saying that his trip was not a coincidence. Actually, he wanted to go to the Philippines to prepare to have like the business conversations about Miss Grand International becoming independent. Now, what's really surprising here is that Nawat revealed during his interview with MJ that he actually told Binibining Pilipinas that he wanted to stay with them, but only if they were willing to make a separate pageant for MGI. Meaning that we will still get like the annual Binibining Pilipinas as we usually do, but MGI will not be one of the crowns that will be awarded during that night. Instead, Binibining Pilipinas will have to organize a whole other competition, like a whole other coronation night for Miss Grand International precisely. There are two sides to this story. I can understand that from a point of view of a businessman, like, this is business for Nawat. He really wants to give his organization, the place and like the context to really stand out from other crowns. I personally do believe what people are saying, that he went to the Philippines this year because he wanted to kind of like have those conversations with the organization and pressure them into giving MGI a higher ranking when it comes to the titles. I don't know if you guys remember, but for me personally, when I think of the 4 crowns that Binibining Pilipinas has, so Miss International, Miss Grand International, Miss Globe, and Miss Intercontinental, I personally believe that Miss Grand International was the second one in terms of importance. Humble opinion right here. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but for me, the highest one was Miss International and then Miss Grand International. Well, I don't know if the fact that he was asking for Miss Grand International to be considered as the highest crown maybe wasn't very well received by Binibining Pilipinas, but actually, Miss Grand International was awarded as the last crown in this year's edition. And that's when I felt that everything was going to be lost. From the point of view of the pageant, I don't think that Binibining Pilipinas should do it because yes, of course, Binibining Pilipinas has been losing some of the highest titles that they had. Unfortunately, they used to have Miss Universe, they used to have Miss Supranational, now they had Miss Grand International, which they lost, and they still have at the moment Miss International. Yes, I think that this is going to affect a little bit the visibility of the pageant. However, Binibining Pilipinas, when I think of it, they have a reputation, they have a legacy that they need to live up to, and most importantly, they are known for being one of the organizations that really takes care of their queens. And especially with some of the incidents that we had in previous years with MGI and the disrespect of candidates and just like how things were handled, I don't see why Binibining Pilipinas would adapt to the requirements of Nawat when he himself has not been doing his part as a national director, as the owner, as the CEO of Miss Grand International. So maybe this is gonna be for the best, you know, Binibining Pilipinas can move on to better things, maybe include new crowns, and even if it's not like a pageant that is as known internationally, they have the visibility and they have the reputation and they have the legacy to really uplift those pageants and bring them up, just like they have been doing with Miss Globe and Miss Intercontinental. And when it comes to Miss Grand International, I think that this is also positive. Now, what has been complaining for a while about the Philippines not sending the type of girls that he is looking for. So maybe by having his own national pageant, he will be able to really go and look specifically for what he's looking for. But do you guys really think that even when he has his own national pageant, he's going to give a crown to a Pinay queen right away? I highly doubt it, first of all. And you know, at the end of the day, I feel bad a little bit for Roberta because I feel like she is amazing. This girl has the potential to win the entire international pageant when it comes to Miss Grand, but I don't know if Nawat is going to give her that opportunity. Let's say like she goes to Miss Grand International and she performs amazingly, she overshadows everyone. I do not know if Nawat would give it to her because she is a queen that is still under Binibining Pilipinas, and at the moment he is trying to distance himself from that organization. So do you guys think that this might affect Roberta's run during Miss Grand International this year? And do you think that Binibining Pilipinas is doing the right thing by, you know, dropping MGI and just letting them go and do his own pageant? Now, let's just move on to the next topic, which is also about Nawat. Unfortunately, people think that I really dislike him or that I like to drag MGI, which I don't. First of all, I don't take any BS from Nawat or any of these like pageant owners or anything. If you are disrespectful to the girls, I'm gonna give it to you. I don't care. So recently, Missosology released a photo where they were talking about the 6 biggest pageants in the world. So they were just showing like the crowned queens at the moment to just, you know, talk about it. Like pageant fans love this type of content. I know for a fact that a lot of people always request from me, for example, to come up with my topics, to talk about certain queens, to give visibility, to come up with interviews. And that's just what we do as people who create content for the pageant community. Well, Missosology being like the biggest and most recognizable page in pageantry, they were just doing their job by talking about it. But we all know that Missosology has had some history with Miss Grand International, and they specifically requested that Missosology does not talk about Miss Grand International at all. Well, because of this photo, it was posted on the Miss Grand International Facebook page that they requested that Missosology remove the photo immediately, otherwise the organization's lawyers would be in touch with Missosology. Because allegedly, I don't know the full story, Miss Grand International had already given a warning to Missosology to not talk about anything related to Miss Grand International. I see it as a petty move. I see it as kind of like a cheap move in a way because, I mean, come on, what is the danger with the biggest page in pageantry talking about your reigning queen? They're not comparing you to any other pageants. They're not putting you against anything. They're not starting any drama. They are literally including you and your pageant within the list of the biggest 6 pageants in the world. And this kind of brings me to this kind of complex that I'm getting from Miss Grand International, and that is that in their mind, in their heads, they want to be the biggest pageant in the world today, right now. They don't want to acknowledge anyone else. They don't care about how old other pageants have existed. They don't care about the impact that other pageants have had. They don't care about the reach of other pageants or what they do for the girls afterwards. No, they just want to auto-proclaim themselves the #1 pageant in the world without necessarily having earned that spot. I mean, if you wanna talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk, and that's the part that we are not getting here from Miss Grand International. I'm not gonna put this one on Nawat precisely because I don't think that he went on the Miss Grand International Facebook page and like wrote that post and posted it, but I think that to a certain extent, this type of things and this type of posts go through, you know, the upper sides of the organization, whether it's through the CEO, whether it's through the communications manager, whether it's to the social media managers. There's people in charge of these things, and the decisions come from a higher level. We know that for sure. I also thought that it was very ironic, the fact that, you know, MGI stands for Stop the War and, you know, love and peace for everyone. But I think that up until today, unfortunately, is one of the most problematic pageants in terms of, you know, just picking random fights with like other organizations. We know, for example, like how much Nawat and Miss Grand International has been shading Miss Earth, or talking about Miss Universe, or even about Miss World. And it's just like, why? You know, if you really think that you have one of the biggest pageants in the world between your hands, then why not uplift its message, its legacy, its visibility by collaborating with other pageants? And you know what? The thing is that Miss Grand International has the production level to overshadow a lot of these pageants. And it's truly just the behavior that is making it more of a cheap pageant when it comes to, you know, the way that they handle themselves, the way that they speak to other organizations, to candidates. That's the only problem. And I will go as far as to say that a big part of that problem is Nawat himself, because he's the one doing the talking. He's the one, you know, throwing shade here and there and auto-proclaiming themselves something that unfortunately they're not there just yet. I'm not saying that Miss Grand International is not one of the biggest pageants in the world, but the #1 pageant in the world right now, today, in 2022. How do you guys feel about this? What do you think about Nawat's behavior? And, you know, this entire thing with Missosology. As I said, I think it's a petty move. And Missosology handled it like a pro. I don't remember if they removed the photo or they didn't, but I know that Paui left a comment on Miss Grand International's post by saying, "Bring it on, sister." Now, I want to talk for a moment about our loved Herlene Budol. And I think that this is very good news, not only for Herlene, but also for Binibining Pilipinas. And let me tell you why. So, just a few days ago, actually, I will say a few weeks ago, there were some rumors saying that Herlene Budol, first runner-up of Binibining Pilipinas 2022, was going to compete at an international pageant. It wasn't disclosed just yet which one. There were no details. It was just a rumor. And of course, this is big news because we know that the girls who actually compete in Binibining Pilipinas that get to compete internationally are the ones who make the top 4. So they go to Miss Intercontinental, Miss Globe, Miss Grand International, well, up until this year, and Miss International. It was announced just like 2 or 3 days ago that Herlene Budol is going to compete at Miss Planet International. I know what you're gonna tell me. Bestie, what is that? I've never heard of this pageant. Well, me neither, if I'm being honest. But I'm happy about this for a few things. The first one being that I remember the interview that Tito Boyabunda had with the Binibining Pilipinas girls recently. And one of the things that Herlene said herself is that she doesn't see herself coming back to pageantry. So she is not going to compete again next year just to have maybe a chance of representing the Philippines internationally. So this was technically going to be her last pageant. And now that she will have this opportunity to go and represent the Philippines internationally, I feel like it's, you know, the best of both worlds. She got her experience at Binibining Pilipinas. She got that first runner-up position, which is very, very difficult. And she will still go internationally and represent the Philippines. So for me, it's a win-win situation. Now, what hasn't been disclosed just yet is if this means that Herlene Budol will resign from her first runner-up contract, her first runner-up position at Binibining Pilipinas, because this pageant, Miss Planet International, is not part of the pageants that Binibining Pilipina handles. So we don't know yet what's gonna happen with that, but at least what has been confirmed is that Herlene will represent the Philippines at this particular pageant. Look, I see this as an opportunity. Maybe it is even a chance for Binibining Pilipinas to maybe, you know, come up with a contract or maybe absorb this franchise and include it. Now that they're losing Miss Grand International, they need to find new franchises, I think, at least. So maybe this will be like a nice addition, and it's very different from the other titles that Binibining Pilipinas has at the moment, because the other ones are really more like beauty pageants, and this one, I mean, it's a beauty pageant, but it's more about you know, the environment and about the advocacy on how to save the planet and all of that. I know what you're gonna say. A lot of these pageants are just kind of a copy of Miss Earth, but I think it's, you know, still a nice addition to the roster of crowns. And personally, if I'm being fully transparent, I went and did a little bit of research about the pageant, and at least for the last edition, they had a great production. I was not expecting much, but it was really, really well done. They did it in Cambodia and it was stunning. They had dancers, they had amazing screens, they had good lighting, they had a beautiful stage, and those are some of the things that make the pageant shine. After that, if you have the right caliber of girls, if you have the right message, and if you have the right management and team members for the organization, that's what makes the beauty of the rest. But for now, I was pretty impressed by it. So honestly, I'm happy for Herlene. I think that she's gonna do a great job. At least I hope so. And as I said, Binibining Pilipinas, if someone from the organization is watching this, look into it. You might want to get this franchise, get you some, you know, environmental advocacies up in your business. I think that it's always a positive thing to have, and it's time to look for new franchises. It's time to incorporate different parts of the world, different pageants, just to make this entire thing more enjoyable for the fans. It doesn't matter if the titles are known or mainstream or anything, for as long as the pageant keeps its essence and its quality levels. Okay, Mare, so the last thing that I wanted to mention during this video is I wanted to talk very quickly, very briefly about the newly crowned Miss Diva girls who will get to represent India internationally at Miss Universe as well as Miss Supranational. So for Miss Universe, we have Divita Rai who will represent India, and Miss Pragnya Ayagari will represent India at Miss Supranational. Personally, I think that both of the girls look stunning. Both of them look very, very promising. And I mean, to be honest, they have a huge job on their shoulders because, I mean, last edition of Miss Universe, India won the entire thing. And I feel like for Supranational, Ritika did such an amazing job that it's gonna be hard to top, you know, Ritika's performance. However, I think that these girls are really in good hand. The Miss Diva organization has been really excelling lately in terms of their candidates and the girls. And I know just based on public reaction that not everyone is crazy about the candidates just yet, but believe me, just give them some time and I think that we're gonna get a lot from them. We're gonna get to know them well. Unfortunately, so far, the organization has not released a lot of footage from the pageant, so we don't have, like, for example, some of the competitions or the Q&As or anything like that, which is normally what pageant bloggers like myself use to, you know, provide some criticism or some positive critique sometimes and come up with our overall idea of the candidates. However, I do have great news for you guys. So if you're watching me and you are excited, I got in touch with the Miss Diva organization and I asked them if they would allow me to interview the candidates, both of them, and their answer was positive. They said, yes, no problem. We would love for you to interview them. However, we would like for this to happen a little closer to the pageant so that it's a little bit more relevant. You know, the conversations are better received and it has a little bit more visibility. I personally agree with that 100% myself, because I think that that's when people are actually looking for the information. That's when you want to give them the visibility and the platform to show themselves and show what they got, their personality, their advocacies, and their expectations for their respective pageants. On the same breath, I'm going to say, this is the little surprise that I was, you know, preparing for you guys. I think that this one is not a surprise because it's already out technically, but I will be interviewing some of the Miss Universe candidates this year. This is really the first time that I'm gonna be jumping into this because although I have interviewed girls that end up going to Miss Universe, this is going to be the first time that I will be interviewing girls who are confirmed to be going to Miss Universe and they are preparing for the pageant. So coming up on coming up on September 7th, I will have Ndavi Nokeri here on the channel. She is the candidate representing South Africa, so one of the powerhouses, and I'm already working on other candidates who will come and visit us here at the channel. So if you have any requests, who would you like me to interview? Who are you excited to get to know for this edition of Miss Universe? And I will try my best as much as I possibly can to have them here and present them, introduce them to you guys. I know that it's very difficult because there's a lot of, obstacles sometimes to get to the organizations or the right people who can grant permission for these things. But as usual, I will try my best. And talking about Miss Universe before I wrap up this entire thing, actually, I just opened my Instagram and I noticed that it has been announced. So there's a post right here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is on Titas of Pageantry. So my girls from Titas of Pageantry, shout out if you're watching this, have confirmed that Miss Universe is going to take place in 2023. So it will not be in October, November, or December, as some people were saying. It's confirmed that it will happen next year, most likely. It hasn't been confirmed, but most likely in the month of January. And it seems like it's going to be in Puerto Rico. So how do you guys feel about that? Some people wanted it to happen this year. I personally, I'm glad that it's going to be next year because that means that we might get 2 Miss Universe editions within the same year in 2023. And for me, that's always a lot of fun. So let me know how you feel about that and everything else that we talked about in this video in the comment section. Thank you for staying with me until the end. And as usual, I will see you soon with more content. Until then, stay safe, be kind to one another, sending you all my love, all my kisses, and I'll see you on the next one. Virtual hugs.